everyone. I'm Clare Davis, as you know, for Mental Health Chats. And today I feel very, very privileged to have Sue Mulrenan with us. And Sue Mulrenan works on the ambulances as a care assistant. So hello, Sue. How are you?
Hello, Claire. Thank you for letting me join you. I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. We're very, very happy to have you here. So the subject of suicide, it's one of those subjects that people find really difficult to talk about.
Yes.
But what we need to understand, Sue, is, and I mentioned this with the interview with Tony Phipps, is that it's becoming more and more common, isn't it?
It is, yeah. There's definitely a rise in England, and yeah, it seems all over.
It is all over, and I don't think COVID-19 is helping with that either, the pressures that are
No, not at all. People have been put in a position where they feel almost trapped in their own walls, and mental health is definitely a big problem right now.
It is. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I just want to talk about a story actually that happened to my sister-in-law and her husband. They had a Friday afternoon off work and they decided to go for a walk here in Bristol, up on the Downs near the Clifton Suspension Bridge. And if anyone knows the Clifton Suspension Bridge, this is an area where there are a lot of suicides, unfortunately. And they saw a man who was trying to complete his life. And they panicked. They didn't know what to do. Luckily, there were two of them. So they managed to call 999, who came very, very quickly. But it was touch and go. It was such a fine line. So the reason why I brought Sue here today is to actually help us as a general public. If we saw somebody trying to complete their life, or if we were close to somebody who expressed they wanted to take their own life, what would you say, Sue? What would you do?
Claire, everybody's crisis is very, very unique and individual to them. You have to do something. You cannot just stand back. And I think it's within everyone's nature to automatically try and stop what's about to happen. And that would be the right thing to do. It's really important that if you see somebody who is trying to complete their life, that you call 999 immediately for the ambulance, then try and talk to the individual directly. If they are on the wrong side of some railings, hold on to them.
Yeah.
We need to try and avoid them from taking their own lives.
Right.
With talking, you can sometimes help them see life slightly differently. There may be just a tiny glimmer of hope that you can instill in them by telling them that there are people willing to listen and there are people that understand is really important.
Yeah.
There are an awful lot of people that have been through these feelings themselves and have come off the precipice, if you like, with somebody else intervening.
Yeah.
If the inevitable happens, if they do continue and end up completing their life, it's really important to know that you as an individual have done absolutely nothing to contribute to what's happened. It's really important to know that if they do continue, that it was something they were 100% going to do anyway. But there is a remote possibility that with your intervention, that you could avoid it at that moment and make them see things differently.
Yeah, and then they've got a long road once you come.
Absolutely.
Don't they? A long road, and our next
Absolutely
go through how to support them after that. But can we go back a bit, Sue? Because
of course,
I'm trying to imagine working on the ambulances. So if I was to ring 999, how long does it take for an ambulance to usually get there? And I know we're talking in a city here where you work. So how long
So when it comes to a mental health crisis such as this, it is a lights and sirens response. Okay. It's difficult to put a time on that, Claire, depending on the other calls and responses that are currently taking place at that moment. But of course, a lights and sirens response is the fastest response available. So if we have a unit that is close or remotely close, they will be sent immediately. In the event of the ambulance service not having an ambulance readily available at that moment, the police would be contacted. At the same time, the caller is on with us. And so they would then provide the lights and sirens response. And they would try and keep that patient safe until the ambulance arrives. So we do work very closely with other services from the emergency sector.
Well, that's nice to know as somebody from the public who's not been through this. So what happens, because you were on the call centre before you were in the ambulances, weren't you, Sue? So
Indeed.
Yeah, so what happens in between when, say, for example, it was me, I'm trying to help this person. So what support do I get from the 999 service in between the ambulance or the police arriving?
Well, Claire, if you were to call 999 and you speak to the call operator, which obviously arranges for the ambulance to come out, they will stay on the line with you. Okay. They will stay on the line until either the ambulance arrives and the crew then take over, or they will stay on the line until the police arrive and they take over. So you would be quite supported whilst you are with the person wanting to complete their life.
Right. And that's really good to know as somebody from the general public, because I know when it happened to my sister-in-law, she was with her husband. So one person rang and the other person helped. But, when you're on your own, it can be quite difficult. So what are the types of things that you should say? Should you use the word suicide? It's...
people are frightened of using that word.
Yeah.
It's quite a taboo subject. We don't talk about it enough. And yet a massive amount of people think about it. So what can we say to people? Simply, what's brought you to this decision? They may open up to you. They might not. And just by their actions, doing something in public especially, just say to them that it's really important that you're trying to do this. You've done it in a place of public. People are here, they can see you, and they want to help. Help is definitely available. There is help there that may help you see things in a better light. So it's really important to engage with them. Some people open up massively, Claire, and they might tell you things that you might yourself struggle with. But it's really important to stay positive. Tell them they've taken a huge step today in what they've decided to do, but they can come back from that, and that help is available. Ongoing help, so there's immediate help for people in this emergency situation, but there is also ongoing help once they've got to that point. And just telling them that may be enough to bring them back.
That's brilliant advice, Sue. Thank you for that. It's actually reminding me of an interview I saw with Johnny Benjamin, the fellow who wrote Stranger on the Bridge. And he tried to complete his life in 2008 at Waterloo Bridge in London. And Neil Laybourne saw him, and he said very similar things to what you're saying, actually. Johnny Benjamin was a 20-year-old at the time, and he had schizoaffective disorder. And it's the most beautiful story, because then in 2014, he put out a social media campaign, which was #find Mike, because he didn't know the man's name, and Neil's girlfriend saw it and put them in touch, and the reunion actually was filmed, and it's so beautiful, the whole story. So I'm going to put a link to one of their interviews, because they became best friends, and now they're campaigning for people around the UK with mental health disorders and mental health concerns. And I think Johnny's got an MBE now, which is quite exciting, really. He's just done such fantastic work. So that's a lovely story. And similar to you, but one thing Johnny said was, what Neil did for me may not be the exact thing to do for somebody else, and every case is different, and that's what you're
absolutely everybody's crisis is different, for lots of different reasons. They may have a predisposition for any kind of mental health issues. They may not have, you know, so it's really important to know that when you see somebody who is considering completing their life, that you just try and help, Claire. You don't know what the response is going to be or the reaction, but at least you've done everything you can right there and right then. But make sure you get the backup of the emergency services for that person, because that's the most important thing, to get the help for them.
Thank you for that. And the word that you keep using, Sue, is help. Tell them we're here to help. Tell them there are people to help them, because we do have a very good support system for them over here. And that goes on to our next guest next time, who is Declan McGann, who is a mental health nurse and has worked in crisis teams. So we're going to be discussing what we do if we've had somebody in our life who is really so low that they've talked about suicide or tried to complete their life. What do we do to help them on that road to recovery? Because it is a long road to recovery.
It is an incredibly long road. And what people often don't appreciate is that for somebody to have got to that point in their life may have taken many, many years. It's not something that can be undone or dealt with in a matter of minutes. All we can do is give them the opportunity to maybe look forward instead of back. Claire, there are some people that help massively on a daily basis, which I know we've not discussed it yet as yet. And I know people are aware they're there, but in the dark times, it's really important to know there's somebody always at the end of the phone. So I've got a number here for the Samaritans.
The Samaritans' phone number is 116123.
Now, they're always available 24/7. And if you are feeling that you are at the end and cannot take any more, just give them a call. They are highly trained mental health advisors that can maybe help you see light at the end of the tunnel. We are in a time where there are more and more young people suffering. So it's really important not just to talk about the Samaritans, but to also talk about these people. Papyrus.
Papyrus for young people is 0800 068 4141.
They're available. They're for the prevention of young suicide. And anybody under the age of 18 can talk to them, completely free of charge and completely private and confidential. And again, very highly trained people that help prevent young suicide. We also have one more, Claire, and this is important.
And Young Minds Parents is 0808 802 5544.
Being a parent that has been on the side of worrying about my child, they can help advise what to discuss, how to discuss things, and a way forward. So again, there is an awful lot of help here in the UK. There are just a few of the people that help on a daily basis, especially with the issue of suicide.
Oh, thank you so much for preparing those, Sue. That's absolutely brilliant. So
No problem.
we've got 3 areas that can help there. Sue's given us a lot of advice. I think staying calm, which our brains often in these situations don't want to stay calm. But the most important thing is to ring our emergency service wherever we are in the world. And here in the UK, it's 999. So thank you very much. You know, somebody I have not experienced that, but it has happened to somebody close in my family. So it's really very, very good to know that we can do something and we can help these people.
Absolutely, absolutely, Claire.
You've been fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thanks for just letting me come. Thank you. Bye-bye.